Hello. We're in Edinburgh at the minute. You can tell by there's a lot of Edinburgh around us. And I've managed to wrangle one of my mates to finally partake in one of my videos. This is James Beagon. And these are some people he knows. Because I'm not attempting your surname, I'm just not doing it. And these guys are the creative team behind a web series called Children of Thebes. Nearly forgot the name there. Basically, I'm going to ask them some questions, and I'm going to basically figure out how boring you are as people. And that's where this is going to go today. All right?
Wonderful.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of dry, sarcastic humour, I can tell from you in particular.
Very dry.
But, like a tartan Chardonnay. Okay. Right, so we will throw in with the first question. And I'm trying to keep this relevant to the series initially, and then we'll just segue onto random junk, basically. Where did the idea of Children of Thebes originate?
Well, we did a stage play all the way back in 2013 called Oedipus Off Stage. The whole idea was we'd do all the bits of Oedipus that Sophocles didn't deal with, so we wrote all the indoor bits, and Sophocles did all the outdoor bits. These guys were in that, I was directing that, and then I was also in it because Edinburgh.
Lack of students.
Because lack of students and lack of actors.
Like a male student.
And we did that show, completely devised it. It was quite long, but we quite liked it, so we decided, hey, this would be really good on film. Let's film a 1920s web series. How hard can that be?
Okay.
Wonderful decision.
Next question, going on from that, it's not on the card, but I have to ask anyway. Are you guys by any chance fans of Games of Thrones?
I have only seen the first 2 seasons. I need to catch up, but I enjoy it.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
I've read and watched them all, yes.
Okay.
I watched it all, and I've not read any.
When we're selling this, we are saying it's a cross between Game of Thrones and Downton Abbey. So
Here are some things that you know. Look,
Those are two very innocuous bubbles crashing into each other.
Yeah.
Wow, God, now I wish I had watched it. Okay. Prepare, guys. Just prepare. Okay, so segueing on to that, mainly thinking about the title to the series, what one job would you disapprove of your children doing? Hardcore philosophical stuff.
that's a massive segue. Being a UKIP counsellor? Yeah, I'd probably disapprove of that a fair bit.
Okay, alright, that is fair.
I don't know.
I mean, we only have an hour.
I wouldn't want to have a lobbyist as my son.
Lobbyist.
just your son, your daughter, it's okay.
Yeah,
She can do whatever she wants.
women deserve their freedom. My son, though, he can be a lobbyist. That would be awful.
Right. I have no idea.
No comment.
Yes.
That's the thing, your children will be cats, so...
That's true.
Yeah.
What about a vet that's bad at their job?
Yeah, that would be pretty
Yeah?
bad. Or a hunter. There we go, a hunter.
A hunter. Alright,
So,
so... Okay. Okay, so not conservative. Topical. Okay, so it's going to be more about your writing styles and how good you are with improv. Using alliteration where appropriate. Describe the funniest time you were drunk.
James, you go first.
When wobbling wildly whilst weaning warriors off.
That didn't have a
I
W.
know, but I did literally. Wine. There we go.
I mean, that was nearly a sentence. Can anyone top that one?
No.
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 Watch Children of Thebes. Okay. Okay, so...
Blindly bumbling in Bourbon.
Well, okay.
I prefer the first one.
Yeah.
More W's. Alright. Next question. What's with the beard?
Right. The beard is entirely an accident. theatrical accident. I had to grow a moustache for a World War One show, so I grew the whole beard rather than just the moustache, because that'd be weird. Shaved it off, kept the moustache, looked very World War One. Then immediately I had to fill in for a role in my own show, imagine that, where I had to be older, so I thought, hey, I'll just grow the beard again, because that worked quite well, it won't take that long. Did that, and then I was doing another show after that where the director was very, very keen that I keep the beard, and so I gave in to peer pressure.
As you often do.
And now the show's done, and now I just kind of like the beard.
I have a different theory. He realized that with a beard he didn't look like a baby,
That too.
so he got the beard.
That is also true.
I have another theory. The girl decided that she likes the beard, so he kept the beard.
Facial hair. Okay. Right, okay, we'll go with this next one. What was the first thing that you remember writing?
For Thebes or in general?
No, in general.
First thing I remember writing was when I was 15, when we were at school, and I wrote a story, or the beginning of a story. I think it was called
This wasn't the Dreamscape.
Dreamscape, that's
Yeah.
what it was called. I actually wrote about 10 chapters of that, so about 10,000 words or so at the time, which was, for 15, yeah, I was quite happy with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's largely wank, but there are a couple of ideas in there that I do like, that I might steal again later
Recycle
on.
one.
Recycle, yeah.
There was an idea I had, was year 5 or 6, I think, about this witch who sort of lived through all the ages of history. And I came up with these 6 dimensions with different symbols. I was very proud of myself. I didn't finish it, such as continued my way of writing.
See a theme, okay.
I think I was 14 when we were asked to write something for class, and I pretty much ripped off World of Warcraft. So yeah.
I did that once with Bernard's Watch.
Oh.
Yeah, and it wasn't even subtle. I was a kid that totally wasn't Bernard, and I had a stopwatch and it could stop time, and it was great. Who's that?
Yeah, I think I did that with Harry Potter.
What's Children of Thebes? Right. Okay, so me and you have strong feelings about this one in particular, with the 2009 adaptation of Day of the Triffids. So, when adapting a written work for stage, what is the importance of fidelity to the original?
I actually think that there is a tendency when adapting new things to the stage or to film to go out of your way to change things up, because you do have to change things. You have to be, pragmatic about the whole thing. But sometimes people go too far the other way, as with Day of the Triffids, where it just became a bunch of nonsense about global warming, which isn't the book.
Hi, I'm Clarence, and I'm suddenly the main character.
Yeah, it's a book about mutual destruction, mutually assured destruction. It's not a book about global warming. It was written in whenever, way before this was a thing. So when I'm adapting things, I do tend to veer towards trying to be as faithful to them as you can be without compromising the whatever medium you're dealing with.
But that's one of the good things about adaptations. You get to add new themes, new issues that are relevant to a modern audience.
But adding new themes, like say out of hand, say with the global warming thing, just to make it relevant, can then just compromise what the original book is about. If the original book or thing isn't about those things, and you don't adapt it in a way that deals with what your original source material in a respectful manner, you're going to end up with Day of the Triffids 2009.
I mean, they could have done that in a way that it was subtle, changing the whole.
Yeah, exactly. Subtlety is what you want to do. If you want to get a new message across to someone, you can't just scoop out the old meaning and then insert your own and hope it fits. It's putting a square thing in a round hole.
I think it depends on who your audience is. Like, if it's a new audience who doesn't really know the original book, I think it's okay to almost create a whole new concept. But this is something like with the Hobbit adaptations that, on their own, the films are fine. But knowing the original story, I'm not that keen. But I think it depends.
In all fairness, these 2 examples, their problem is they are bad, not because they were badly adapted. They're just badly written.
They were badly adapted as well.
No, it's a bad script, not only a bad adaptation.
No, but if they kept the actual sort of production values of Day of the Triffids weren't its problem, the acting really wasn't its problem either, the script and the adaptation are intertwined. You can't separate a bad adaptation from a bad script. They are one and the same thing.
I disagree on that.
So you have like Day of the Triffids is the primary example of all horrors of, hey, I really like this book. Let's take it and make it not good.
Let's take it and shit on it.
Golden
until you
Compass.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's take this really deep book about, you know, the relationships between religion and different dimensions and family relationships. Let's cut out the bit that makes the book relevant, the end, and tag it on to the beginning of that next movie. We'll definitely be able to make.
If you've never read the book, do you think you would feel differently about it?
I think if I'd never read the book and I saw the Golden Compass, I just thought, well, that was a bit underwhelming.
Well,
Where are the stakes? Oh wait, the stakes are nowhere. There's no ending.
I haven't read the book, and it did feel very anticlimactic.
Yeah, because it was the book. The book builds up to the climax, and if you cut that out and put it at the beginning of the next film, it doesn't work.
Because a lot of the stuff is about the effects and that stuff now, rather than the actual.
Yeah, they won a whole bunch of Oscars for CGI,
Yeah.
and nothing for writing. Imagine that.
But I think film is going through that stage at the moment. They're doing the most that they can with the CGI stuff and leaving the actual storylines a little bit.
I saw a good article someone linked
On
on
CGI,
Cracked,
yeah.
about modern CGI actually being less believable than old CGI.
Well, we've discussed this.
Yeah,
haven't
the
we?
6 reasons.
But yeah, it's comparing Jurassic World to Jurassic Park first, and like it makes very, very good points because once you know that something's entirely CGI, you're completely removed from it.
Yeah, like that's why I prefer like practical effects, like
big puppets.
Yeah, there's a different example as well. The last series they did of Red Dwarf, everyone was like, "Well, it's going to use CGI." And they didn't. They were like, "No, we're just going to use practical effects. It's just going to be models and things." And it looked stunning as a consequence.
It's a Star Wars thing. It's not
Where is it?
when Yoda stops being a little green puppet and starts being CGI Yoda.
Backflipping CGI
Backflipping CGI.
monk thing, yeah.
Yeah, that was so
I can see what happened in that writing meeting. Or like there was a writing meeting if George Lucas wasn't just writing with his ass or something. Like, he was like, oh yeah, Yoda, he's got a backflip to fight Count Dooku. It's Christopher Lee. He's got a curved lightsaber. It's going to be so cool. Like yeah. It is a cool concept when you say it like that, and then you see it, and it's just like, who's going to win? Well,
Turns
I know
out
there's another
nobody.
film. I know there's another film to come. I doubt they're going to get rid of any of these characters.
Do you have a creative process when writing?
Of all the creative process for Thebes.
that was a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well, we all went away. To begin with, we all went away and wrote our separate things and brought them back, and there was very little linkage between things.
That didn't work so well. So then we edited them as a group. And basically, I think the writing process is fair to say, I would have one idea, Daniel would have another idea, and then Sophie would be in the middle and decide which idea was actually worthwhile and good.
Yeah.
So rather like this setup at the minute.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm always in the middle.
She's the beast.
I would be faithful towards the original. Daniel would go out on a limb to, we should change this, and Sophie would intervene and say, actually, we should change this here, keep this faithful, and I think it actually balanced out fairly well in terms of we're quite respectful to a lot of the universe, but we do our own thing.
The funny thing is now you seem much more inclined to changing things, which is kind of ironic.
A little bit. And you keep a lot more inclined to being more faithful to the original.
No more.
The crossroads and Dumpty and
Dumpty.
We spent like 2 hours discussing whether we would call it the divides to...
There's a very specific line that we won't explain in full detail, but suffice it to say that the location was important, not because of what the location was, but because it got mentioned later on for someone to realise something later on. So we had to decide whether we wanted to refer to it as what it's referred to in the original script, or change it to something else.
It wasn't.
This is two ideas of audience: the classicist and the non-classicist, and the sort of.
It wasn't even half of it wasn't even the classicist. Half of it was just that this is unless we changed the way the revelation worked, we did need that information.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's a bit like sort of the Atlantis thing. All classicists who watch Atlantis are scared of it because it goes against everything classical.
Are we talking about the
The problem with Atlantis,
Yeah,
the BBC one, is that
Oh, the BBC
initially
one.
no one realised that they hadn't just been getting it wrong accidentally.
Yeah, but to an audience who really doesn't know anything about classics, it's
I
actually
think
a decent
a lot of people watching it know it's not the actual classics. I mean, it's obvious now that I've actually had a look into it. It's so horribly obvious because it's fucking time travel and stuff like that, and dimension travel. So
What?
yeah, it's weird. That's why it's been cancelled.
That's just cool.
Wow.
This one's going into the heavy territory, which is why I left it as the last question. And again, obviously because it was more geared towards you, it's talking more about like your sort of stuff, but feel free to pitch in with this one as well. It's a common form of advice to write about what you know. Some of your past work has included themes of death, mental insecurity, and social injustice. To what degree do you consider your work to be confessional?
I would actually say, yeah, there's always a degree of write what you know, but I think as a writer, it's a lot more interesting to write things that you don't know. For instance, lots of my plays deal with ghostly figures, dealing and like messing around with people, which is not something I can confess to personal experience of having. And also dealing with, you know, like the Oedipus story, which I do not have any personal connection to.
No Oedipal desires.
No, and yeah, you write things. You write about things that interest you, and the things that interest you are sometimes things that are personal to you, that you've had experience of. They're also sometimes things that you have no experience of at all, just things that you're curious to explore. As such. I mean, that's what I find.
I would say that people want to write about things they find possibilities. As in, when you find this plot or this topic and you just see all the possibilities or the things that you could do with it, that's when you feel inspired to write about it.
Okay.
Because you can feel very interested in something and not have any ideas.
That's true.
Yeah. I think it just does depend from person to person. Because I know I have my interest in history that I don't know a lot about. Some history I do know about. I think the idea about the witch, I don't really know that much about witches. But then recently I had an idea about sort of in a home, like an old people's home, which my mum has worked with people like that, and I've met people like that, and that interests me. That reality, social history, which is an argument we have. Yeah, so I think it does depend between people.
But like sometimes it's a question of inspiration. You do just randomly get ideas sometimes. You're like, oh, that would make a great play, TV series, book, whatever. I mean, bits of First Class. I mean, one of the stories is the story of a young mother dealing with a child, which is not something I have any experience with at all in the 50s. So, like, it's not always a question of what you see on the stage from a writer or what you see in a book from a writer is some sort of inner confession. I think you get a lot of the writer in what's written, either in the way that people speak, or or in the way they judge certain situations. But you have to, if it's any good anyway, the characters will be separate from the writer's desires and inclinations. Sometimes they'll deliberately go against them, just to provide some sort of balance or argument, conflict within the script.
That was the questions. Thank you. What you wanted to say about Children of Thebes? Whilst we've got an opportunity to plug freely.
Watch it.
Wow, well done.
It's important.
It is an important thing. I think there's going to be like a little snippet, episode 4 at the end of this video.
We'll see what we can do.
We'll see what we can do. There'll be something. It'll be good.
Yeah. There'll also be links in the comment box as well, taking you to the playlist where you can watch all of it. And I'd assume there'll be bloopers and things like that coming up in coming days and weeks and months.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of a gap because this is the Edinburgh University exam time, and so a lot of the people, you guys, and then some of our other people who are doing music and colour correction, they all have exams, so it's all been a bit mental recently. But episode 4 will be out this month, and then we will get onto the latter half, 5 to 8, over the summer, probably before the Fringe, because we'll have a lot more time. More than anything else.
There might be things in between episodes.
Yeah, like bloopers, smaller little bloopers and prequels and
bios.
Yeah. And so
yeah, that's
and random stuff like this every now and then.
Oh yeah, like stuff like this. Yeah, like it's not going to be a 10 drink bottles.
Where it's 6 episodes spread over 2 years.
Don't worry, James, we will not allow it.
No.
Yeah, one of my questions that we didn't cover was legitimately, did you ever think that the final episode of 10 Green Bottles would see the light of day?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No, 10 Green Bottles was a case of, I remember I was doing Sort of Sunset about a year ago, this time last year, no, a year and a bit ago, and just came home from the dressing of that. I got a message saying that episode 5 of 10 Green Bottles had been released. And it was literally the last thing I was expecting to see on my phone.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to the person I was walking with, like, episode 5 of 10 Green Bottles has been released. And she's like, what's that? The reason she had no idea, because she was a fresher, she had no bloody idea what 10 Green Bottles was, because it started several years earlier.
Oh God. Right. Well, we've covered quite a bit. Cool. I like. This is where it would fade to black or something and be very artistic.
I stand here in front of the royal palace where, in the past 10 minutes, our King Oedipus was accused of the murder of King Laius, killed almost 2 decades ago. With me is the author.
Why are we still listening to this?
It's just the news. No one listens to it.
Really? You think they'll just ignore it?
Listen, she's raving. It's rubbish.
About our family.
No need to get worked up. Nobody will care what the old hat says.
Father does.
The truth must be revealed.